Alright, this is the video that I had to redo, so I'm going to go through all of these files except for number 5, because this one the video actually works for. I might get to it at the end, but I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly. So for those of you that weren't there today, we started with this file, and really all this is just layer recognition. We just want to turn on these layers, and then we want to bring the flamingo out to the front. So remember, the way that Photoshop's set up, whatever layer is sitting on top will be in front. So if I wanted the flamingo to be behind both leaves, I could do that. But I'm going to leave it set to the front. Additionally, we're going to turn on the rainbow, and we're going to change the layer's blend mode to screen. That way we can see the rainbow, but we can also see the background, and the dark pixels that when set to normal are present are now invisible, more or less. Last thing we need to do is we want the rainbow to be underneath the vine, so we'll just click, hold, and drag and move that down. So this one's done. You can file, save as. We're going to choose a PDF, and you can save it to wherever you want to. Just the big thing is make sure that you remember where you save it. And that's ready to submit. The next one we moved on to is we jumped ahead to number 4. And for this, we did 2 adjustment layers. So in between the truck here, we chose an adjustment layer, and the first one was brightness contrast. And we upped the brightness and a little bit of contrast, so we're about 50 on both of those. Now we don't want this above the clouds, because otherwise the clouds will be targeted as well. So we're going to make sure that that sits below the clouds. We're going to do another adjustment layer. This one's going to be a hue saturation. And we're going to take the hue and push it to both the wall and the curtain are blue. Now that we have that, let's move it below the brightness contrast. Make sure that you're on the layer mask, and you're going to hit Control-I. Once you have that, again, on the layer mask, not the adjustment layer, but the layer mask, we're going to grab a brush, we're going to flip the brush to white, and we're going to paint in the areas that we want affected. So in this case, I'm going to grab a marquee tool, and I'm going to fill that with black by going to Edit, Fill. I'm going to fill with white, so that's going to be my foreground color. Alright. Now I'm going to paint this little window here. Again, make sure I'm on the layer mask. I'm going to zoom in a few spots. Hit B for brush. Now my brush is a little bit big, so I'm going to scale that down. I'm going to paint, make sure that I'm painting at 100% opacity. There we go. Better. Get those curtains to be blue. Now if you make a mistake, not to worry, instead of hitting a Control-Z, if you paint outside of the lines, what you can do is just paint with black now and paint out your mistakes. So that's what this file should look like. Save this as a PDF. Number 1, we've got 3 different layers here. First thing we want to do is we want to select the fruit layer. We're going to get a marquee tool, rectangular marquee. We're just going to click, hold, and drag to pull out a box. And we're going to hit it with another adjustment layer. This one's also going to be hue saturation. I'm going to make a blue grapefruit with an orange background. And you can see that it's only affecting that part because the selection masked it out. Again, we're staying on the fruit layer here. Next thing we're going to want to do is get our lasso tool. We're going to select a piece of fruit and its shadow. I'm going to grab this. I'm just going to click, hold, and drag. Move around here. Don't grab another piece of fruit, just one, and make sure you get its shadow. You're going to use your eyedropper, eye for eyedropper, to sample this blue. Now what we're going to do is go to Edit, Fill, and choose foreground color. And what will happen is it looks like it disappeared because we filled it with that same exact blue. Moving on to the fruit down here, we're going to use the Object Select tool to grab a few different pieces of fruit. So that tool is located underneath the wand. It's the Object Select. And what you can do, make sure that you're on the bowl layer. I'm going to click, hold, and drag to pull out a marquee. It's a pretty smart tool. You can see that the selection just found all of that fruit, but I want to add to it. I want to add these pieces of fruit as well. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. You can see a little plus there, and I'm going to click. I'm going to click. I'm going to click. click and click. So I've got all that fruit selected. I'll go to my adjustment layers, and this time we'll do a brightness contrast. So let's just raise the brightness so it pops out a little bit more. So before, after. Not bad. As for the boy, we're going to make him completely black and white, and we're just going to paint back in the oranges or grapefruits or whatever these are. So let's get a selection. Click, hold, and drag. Make sure that we're on the boy layer. We'll choose an adjustment layer, and we're going to do hue saturation. Let's bring that all the way down. Now, on the layer mask, not the adjustment layer, but the layer mask, we'll get B for brush. We're going to paint with black, so I'll zoom in a little bit. I'll make my brush a little bit smaller by going to left bracket, and I'm just going to click, hold, and drag and start to paint what we call a spot color. You see this a lot in advertising, where just a little piece of color pops out. Now you can change your brush parameters, the size, the hardness. So if I don't like the softness here, I can up the hardness. Paint with white now to fix my mistakes. Take my time and go around that. Looks pretty good. This one's done. You can save this as a PDF. Last but not least, we've got the sneakers. What we want to do is we want to cut this sneaker out and we want to add a shape. So we've got a lot of tools for this, but I do think that the object select would be the best one. So make sure that we're on the sneakers layer. You can see that it found it. If we just click on it now, we've got a perfect duplicate. So here's what we're going to do. We could do either copy it or we can mask it. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and put a mask, not an adjustment layer, but just a mask. And it looks like everything disappeared, because it kind of did. So now what we need to do is we need to duplicate this layer by right-clicking, choose Duplicate Layer. We're going to trash the mask on the bottom layer. So on the mask, just click on the mask, click, hold, and drag, trash it out. Now let's make a shape. We're going to want a red circle. So let's grab our shape tool, we'll do an ellipse, and we're going to click, hold, and drag. I'm going to hold down Shift. So right now it's got a black stroke and no fill. So with the shape selected, we can go to the Properties panel and say, alright, fill with red and no stroke. Now I think that it says something like Big Sale, so we can grab our Type tool. And if we click on our shape, you can see that with our Type tool selected and our shape selected, it will type inside of it. Alright, I'll type Sale starts Friday. Now that's a pretty weird font, so I'm going to change that around a bit. First things first, I'll change it to white. And Danzig is not an appropriate type for this. Let's do an Acumen. You guys pick the type that you think works best. Do a Castellan. And then I'll do my Sale. A little bit different. Do a different font, or maybe I'll do all caps. Maybe I'll pick a different font. Okay. I could even rotate it a little bit here. And it's a little bit big, so I'm going to bring the size of it down some. Just by hitting Control-T. Something like that. Done. I'll leave number 5 and let you guys figure it out on your own, because the tutorial does work pretty well. You might even want to use this image for your magazine cover, because you are going to isolate her. So good luck. Let us know how we can help.